Hello, everybody, and welcome to our review of Young MC's Stone Cold Rhymin here on the Classic Quest, the overdue episode that we go through the classic rap albums, give our thoughts, impressions, whatever. My name's HSR.
I am your lady friend, Bonnie.
And we'll be going through Young MC's Stone Cold Rhymin track by track, sharing our thoughts, sharing our opinions, letting you know what we think, each song along the way. And we're not necessarily experts on any of this. For us,
Not necessarily.
I mean,
But we could be.
by no means are we. Really, it's like it's a journey for us to like go through the history of rap music and to be less ignorant with it, to kind of just explore what made a lot of these albums classics to the people who really love them. So anyway, that's what we do here. Just for those of you who are new, for those of you who want to skip our little intro dribble, you can check the description of the video and you'll see when the episode actually starts. And for those who have been like, yo, it's been a month since your last Classic Quest, yeah, I didn't realize. Sorry, that's over. It'll be back weekly. Sorry for any interruptions there.
Yeah.
I know a lot of y'all care about this and only this show that we do. It'll still be probably once a week, but it'll be back weekly.
We won't stop. We won't stop. We'll always come back.
So sorry about that, but Happy New Year. It's January 1st.
Happy 2019.
See, new year, new start, everything's good. Our last episode came out like a month ago, and it was on Kid Rock's Early Morning Stone Pimp. And we like to do our favorite comment of last week's episode, so we'll call it last month's episode. And it was
Last year's episode, even.
Sean Gillooly, I'm sorry if I said that wrong, said, "Live isn't a live track. It uses heavy reverb and adds a crowd, but it's not a freestyle. He performs it in a medley on Unsung and Underrated with the same lines." I'm like, oh, okay, that's actually really cool. So he faked a perfectly live-sounding live song to give a certain energy on the album. That's actually really fucking cool. And then he uses it as part of the medley because it's, just kind of his verse. That's sick. I thought it was really cool, and that's one of my favorite parts about being involved in this channel is reading those kinds of comments and like getting a sense of a lot of the history that makes it hard for Google to answer, because in order for Google to give you that answer, somebody had to care enough to like put it somewhere that Google will show it in the first fucking 10 or 30 results or whatever. So answer may be there on page 743 of Google search results. So you guys in the comments help us get more specific and make it get closer to like, it tells us what to look for, cool shit. Anyway,
Yeah.
So thank y'all for your comments, and I look forward to reading what y'all think on this review, and feel free to at any point just like comment and correct or add or tell us some anecdote. I always like to hear about that shit. Hell, tell us what you had for Christmas dinner. I'm super into Christmas dinner discussions because it's like so, it's not like Thanksgiving where everybody gets turkey. Everybody's different about Christmas. I'm a big fan of just doubling up on the turkey. I said that already in another review. Anyway, special thanks to the patrons, Ismail Gadamsi, Chris Prado, Linda Williams, and Super Osco 1994. They're amazing. They've been patient with us. We're super sorry. This is actually December's Patreon request, because if you join us, you get a request, and it comes from Linda Williams. So he wanted us to do Young MC's Stone Cold Rhymin to see what we had to think about this project, and next week will be Ismail's request because we're gonna stay true and catch up.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll talk a bit about that at the end. Thank y'all, you're amazing. And Bonnie, why don't you tell us your experiences with Young MC prior to this review?
Well, this is an interesting album. I definitely have never listened to the entire album before, but there is one song on here that has just been like,
Bust it.
damn it. And I feel like you just can't even hear it without like singing and dancing and like just like having a jolly good time, really.
And like,
So Bust a Move is definitely like has been on like my MP3 players and like my Spotify and everything else.
She's not
since,
lying.
Like the dawn of time. Really.
I've heard that song many times this year, or 2018, I should say.
Not even just this year. You've heard it like
It just keeps coming.
forever.
Because her best friend Harry had a brother.
And this is like I'm pretty sure from like all like the stories I've heard, this was I think if not Milli Vanilli. But between one of these two was like my sister's first album. My first concert. Her first concert. So she went and saw Young MC.
Or Milli Vanilli.
But she also saw Milli Vanilli. I don't know
Okay.
which one was the first one, that first concert that she saw. But yeah, I was pretty impressed that she saw this as probably one of her first concerts for sure. And she's 10 years older than me, so it makes more sense. So she was like a young, maybe like a 10 or 12-year-old or something when she went.
That's funny. I can't say I've listened to Young MC outside of Bust a Move either. I mean, I didn't even realize Young MC wrote Bust a Move until I checked out the album and saw what it was, and I was like, oh, it's the Bust a Move guy. I'm like, I was literally, I had no idea what to expect, because even like Bust a Move, I've never really listened to it, right? So like, obviously, checking it out for this album forced me to like take it like really seriously, but man, my mom loves that song. I've made the comment that like this is mom or music my mom liked. There are like 2 or 3 songs from the rap world that my mom likes. Like she fucking busts a move to it, like she can spit the lines to it and shit. Nelly's Ride With Me is one of them. Bust a Move by Young MC is most definitely another one. So I've always just kind of considered this to be like mom rap, but I guess safe rap is another way to put it.
Yeah, and I think also it is, I mean, as you kind of see as we'll go through it, it definitely is for, like, I think maybe more for youth. So I think my sister was probably listening to it at the right age of, like, like a young preteen or teen. I'm not sure what age she was when she saw this.
Yeah.
But definitely, like his message and like what he's saying is more for like kids in high school,
and it's also
and like younger kids as well.
But it's also like really 80s messaging too, like on the
this came out September 5th, 1989. For those of you who don't know.
So like if you think about the Reagan era crack hood and you really like put yourself in the mindset of where he's coming from, this is definitely on like the cleaner side of where hip hop is at for that era. And I think it's like if you're just listening to this in 2018 and there's a couple of songs on here that are like kind of preachy, but if you look at it in the lens of the history of why that song was even written, you're like, okay, I can see where Young MC's pretty cool about that shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't have a lot more to say about him. He's British born, came to America, which is something I think he shares with Slick Rick, which I thought was super interesting. And thanks, Lindell, for pointing that out to me. And basically, yeah, I don't know.
I think also, like, this is probably one of the first times, like, maybe not the first time. I'm sure, we've gone through a lot of albums. But this is definitely one that is more targeted towards white people. I can definitely say that. Like, in, like, his music videos, I watched some of his music videos. There's also a lot of white people dancing in his music videos. There's, he seems to, I think he talks, like, he's like more of like a mainstream kind of guy. He's less about, like, the hood and, like, all that stuff. And maybe that's, the British influence on him. But he definitely makes this a little bit more accessible for white people.
Well,
I don't know why I'm giving
like
this. We're white people.
I just kind of like, I didn't really catch that, I guess. It might be true. I just looked at it like this was pop as fuck. Like he was trying to get like radio play on this. Like this was about making safe for the time music, but still packing like, and let's talk about the album, still packing some Stone Cold Rhyming here. Because like, you can tell as we'll go through it that essence of competitive hip hop spirit is there.
Oh yeah.
And then there's just some songs that are clearly there that are like radio play, in my opinion. But like it's a really cool album. But yeah, I never really think about that if y'all are like watching this.
But like this is the first time that I noticed like significantly like more of like a. I don't want to say like a I don't know what it is about it, but there is more like white people featured in some of.
For those of you on the older end of our demographic who were around back then watching this shit drop, like if you can comment on that and like add some insight into like that, it would be really fucking cool because I didn't really consider it beforehand.
Well, again, like that's also like my own personal kind of side of things is that like my sister like went and my mom allowed her to go to this.
My mom's also a white person.
Like there probably would have been other concerts that my mom probably would have been like let's not
so,
like
I would say like MC Hammer would have fit right in with the fan bases they were going for. Are these guys just about the money? Is that like a way to look at it? I'm curious.
I don't know. I mean he is a good rhymer. That's for sure.
Yeah, Stone Cold Rhyming. I like the fact that it's called that because as much as he may be like chasing whatever, You get the essence that what you're going to get off of this album, above and beyond anything else, is an ability to rhyme, and he's going to show you that he can rap at an era where, like, a lot of the stuff that maybe we see as standard now maybe didn't really exist, because we're talking before the 90s. This is still the 80s and shit. So that's, I think, always worth thinking about when you go into an album from back in the day. The cover to me is tacky as fuck, but it was the 80s, so I give it to him.
It looks more like almost like a 60s album. Like, it looks more like it should be like Otis Redding or like Marvin Gaye or like something
Maybe.
like that, a little bit more Motown-y.
Yeah, it's just
Like,
got
there's
his
something about
like
it.
name on the right in that black sectioned off thing. Maybe it was for the cassette tape and that made sense or something. I don't really remember.
Oh, maybe.
Because like we're
Yeah.
thinking about it now from a CD perspective. Where
I can
the
see that, like the fold over of
Yeah.
like the thing, and it would be in the case, and then
Yeah.
I can see that.
And then like Stone Cold Rhymin that would, I guess, been the front. Man, cassettes were fucking terrible for covers, eh? And
Yeah,
it's
but at
just
least
like
you
this
could record
squished
them.
picture, Stone Cold Rhymin. I mean, it's fine. It's just like I'll remember it because
But it doesn't
it's
necessarily
so...
look 80s. Like, that's the only thing I had, or early 90s or whatever. Like, it doesn't give me that feel, but that's
you know
okay.
what it is? I think it's because it doesn't look like a proper vinyl cover. It looks like it was almost made for cassette.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
think that's what stands out. Maybe I'm wrong, and you guys feel free to let me know I'm wrong. This is speculating about comments people make over time as we learn over time. Anyway, instead of just speculating about this cover, I come off. All right, Bonnie, start us off.
Well, it's a pretty cool beat. It definitely sounds kind of like 80s. It has that kind of like flow to it. I don't know. There's something about the sound of it. And he's kind of like just like, there's not really too much to this song right away. It is just sort of like he's in university. He's a smart guy. And he likes his, he is the best rhymer in town, and he's good. Like, it is just sort of like a not really just like a showing off song, but it is kind of introducing like his flow, his style, and it's enjoyable. There's nothing like too deep in this, at least that I noticed. But yeah, it's nice to hear that like this is like an educated fellow. He's he's working hard. He's he's reading books. He's doing whatever. He's kind of like also saying like, this is who I am. This is how I come off. He's, maybe I'm going to be a little bit different from, like the other sounds that you maybe used to hearing in like hip hop, and like, a little bit less violent and whatever else. But yeah, I liked it. I gave it a 4 on 5.
That's fair. I mean, the first thing about this beat is that it's so very 80s to me. But the second thing about that beat is that it's really fucking well made. My main problem with this album, I'm going to state it now, is that I actually found the production to be quite stellar in a way that I maybe didn't feel last year when I was more ignorant about it, or maybe it really is just like that standout compared to the rest of it. But every track practically has a vibe to it in the production where you really could just dance to it. And which I think is something that we like forget about, that like hip hop kind of starts with dance and like
It started with like like all like the
parties and whatnot.
Yeah.
And like everyone's
Street
upset, like
corners.
at least in like the older head communities or the people who seem to be clinging to the 90s, like it's almost like in everyone's efforts to go for like stone cold rhyming and lyrical miracle abilities, we forget that there's an element of dance that is also supposed to be part of the equation. And I'm not saying it has to be part of the equation, but at least it originally was part of the equation.
Yeah.
And I think that that's cool to see that Young MC kind of adheres to that. So while he does some pretty cool rhyming shit, and like, look, I don't have a lot to say about like what the song's about. Young MC's here and he rhymes better than you, you know.
Pretty much.
But like, there's just little things about it that I find kind of stand out that make him like different. And I don't know if this is because of the times or because he happens to be a more innocent, non-criminal type guy. Like, now I wrote this record for when I perform lonely nights inside a university dorm. I put pen to paper and with a paper to pen for the times I'm rocking the mic in front of women and men. I mean, it's fine. It just sounds like at the same time, like everyone else, I'm writing rhymes to rap in front of people and get the party jumping. But like, I think right off the jump, he starts his album off by showing that like you should go to school and be in university and shit. And that's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
That is something that's at least kind of stand out to me. I don't see a lot of rap that we've talked about, and again, this is just what we've seen so far, that is like touched on shits like that.
Yeah.
And he rhymes at like a relatively, what I would call standard pace, but I guess at the time was considered quick, but then turned into more of that standard pace. So it's cool that he's kind of fast. But there was just some like excellent rhyming techniques from like a poetic side, like his use of feminine rhymes, which is I believe the correct term for when you're rhyming multiple syllables to like together to like kind of create a sound. I think that's the right term. I might be wrong, but like he has like a kid playing tag. That's how it's got to be, which is right after they run and hide in the previous line, which is smart because he's again tying his concepts together over lines to move forward a general narrative while having each line kind of being its own entity, which is something that I think is what. When I consider good concept writing for bars, that type of shit's important. And if you can make all sorts of hot one-liners, and then you're Action Bronson, and they're just a bunch of hot one-liners, but I feel like he doesn't tie them together, which is fine if that's what you're into. But what the difference between like an Action Bronson and a Ghostface Killah is that Ghostface Killah moves the narrative along. As just an example of what I mean for concept. And that's just from that one album I reviewed of Action, the Blue Chips 2000, whatever fucking latest one. Like a kid playing tag, that's how it's got to be. So when I start saying Ali Ali Oxenfree, and that way that he rhymes got to be Oxenfree, that's what I mean on the sounds, right? These words wouldn't traditionally rhyme unless you're accenting it done, but it's more complicated than just dropping the cat versus bat versus rat type rhyming. And I like that because you can feel like, man, this is a type of shift that moved rap towards an Eminem, where we're getting like entire verses that like, and that's fucking cool to me.
Yeah,
and I think that the historical like value in going back to like a young MC, it both makes me appreciate like an Eminem's adherence to older culture, but also makes him less impressive by seeing all of the shit that led to him being built monumentally. And I feel like the more hip hop I discover, the more I understand. Like I more see it kind of like that, like through the history and ebbs and flows and shit. If it wasn't Eminem, it would have been somebody else. You know, like it was just natural that it was coming. And that's kind of how I'm seeing it more and more.
I do also appreciate like the fact of like these like kind of earlier hip hop tracks that like there's more of a story to them. Like there is sort of like they seemed a little bit more innocent. Like I mean even he kind of reminds me of who's the guy who sings I can't think of it.
I don't know.
Biz Markie.
Okay.
So like it's the same sort of thing. Like he's kind of telling the story. He goes to like university to get this girl, and like like it's that same sort of.
But like just to interject, the note I had taken is he actually went to he earned a degree in economics from the University of Southern California, and that's where he met Michael Ross and Matt Dyke from the record company Delicious Vinyl, and Young rapped over the phone, and then that kind of led into a contract. So going to school ended up giving him his whole fucking career, but because he was in economics, maybe he sounded a little smarter. I don't know. But I thought it was just interesting because I feel like we don't brag enough about like the educational side of hip hop.
Always good to have a backup plan. You can rap, but you can also go to school and do economics.
I think like the Offspring was like another example of a band where they all had like degrees and shit before they really stopped and took music seriously.
Well, maybe.
I might be wrong, but there's a couple of like significant notable shits. Anyway, as far as this song goes, I really liked he's like just like a king has palaces. I give analysis. You can't talk because you suffer from paralysis of the mouth, of the lip, of the tongue, coming to you compliments of a brother named Young. I thought that was interesting because one noteworthy thing is I don't feel that he ever says he's the best. He says he has skills, and he will paralyze you because he's authentic and real. But it's not from this place of arrogance where he's the best. It's just that he's a competitor and he's a worthy foe. And if you're not coming to bring it, his deep analytical thinking, his mind power, basically depend being mightier than his sword, is what's going to win his battles for him. As opposed to like maybe what we're used to today where it's going to be more of this aggressive, like I'm going to take you out, I got a bigger gun type shit.
Yeah.
You know you've seen those I got a bigger gun compilations in the battle rap videos. You might not have, but they have. If you haven't, go look at those, and my statement will make more sense. Anyway, as much as I appreciate and admire this song, like, it's kind of got the kind of goofy ass shit going on. It's really not my favorite sounds. The sample is fine. It's cool. It like really is 80s. Like this just screams like bright colors at me. I do like the clever use of percussion after like the here we go, and then it kind of like brings some life into the track. And I like the fact that it's super sample driven, and it's like you can tell that this is like excellent use of the tech available to make like something that like those bass drums or the snares or whatever just pop at you, and it's kind of really impressive what they pulled off. But man, it's so 80s. 4.1. It got a little bit better than a 4 because of all that cool shit. But man, it's hard for me to be like, I'm going to go really listen to this again. I admire this. It's okay. There are much better songs on this project, in my opinion. Let's talk about the principal's office.
Yeah.
Can I go to the bathroom, ma'am? The teacher got upset and she screamed out, no, it's off.
This one had a very 80s music video to go along with the overly 80s
Yeah,
sound.
so we went from him being in university to him being in high school. So we're going back in time a little bit.
Well, he's just thinking back in the days because he's a little bit of a can't help but get in trouble kind of guy.
I guess.
I don't know. Why don't you walk us through this?
Sure. So I mean, like I said, so he's in high school at this point. He's going, it's all about going to the principal's office. So he's running late and kind of describes what the teachers think of him. And he ends up going to the principal's office because the teacher basically no longer wants to like deal with him. Like she's fed up with him. We've all had classes where like there's somebody who like doesn't really like do much, but then makes one noise and they're like sent to the principal's office, which seems a little extreme to me, but whatever.
But usually, let's be fair, that person makes that noise every day, and it's kind of a stacked thing where that person's credit line of not getting in trouble is pretty thin.
Yeah, that's true. And then so everybody hurries to lunch, and he ends up losing a tooth in an applesauce, which is kind of weird.
Because it's so crusty, public school food. He's making a comment about how bullshit the food that's given to these kids are. That like his applesauce is like, and like it's the fact that his
Why is he crunching into applesauce?
Because that's the point, is that the quality of the applesauce being given to these students is so bullshit.
Just apples.
That like it's hard. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I took from that. Like, it was a subtle jab at the lack of investment into the education system.
I guess. But you're still getting your good nutrients.
Not if it's crusty, hard applesauce. You can't even eat it then.
Anyways. So
it's supposed to be sauce.
Yes, I know. And so he goes to the nurse because he loses his tooth. And then, like, she sends him to, like, the principal's office, too? Like,
yeah, because... on his way back from so the first verse, whatever, he's like, he shows up late and he has his excuse and he goes off to class. Now, keep in mind, this whole song is one day of school for this guy.
Yeah.
So the fact that this is just one day of school, oh boy, does he get up to shenanigans. So he's late and whatever. There's gum on his seats and he wanted to go to the bathroom to clean that up after, coming in late. And that was just so audacious in that first verse that he gets sent to the principal's office. See, he's just a helpless kid, and shit just happens
place,
to him.
wrong time.
Well, like, because he showed up late and then asked, and it was like, you don't understand, there's gum. Off to the principal's office you go, and whatever fucking noises.
Yeah.
But then the second verse, he does the applesauce thing, breaks a tooth, and he proceeds to go to the nurse, who gives him a note, which is basically lets him go back to class late without consequence. So because he has this note, on his way back to class, he gets distracted playing some ball because, as you do, going to class, play some ball, you got to get out a free jail card, and then whatever. As he's playing some ball, he looks up, and the nurse sees him, and so she sends him to the principal's office.
Oh, right, that's it,
right.
Yeah.
And then there's the love letter thing that he wrote to
he's
the girl.
He's passing notes to, like, this girl in class, and
which
then,
is
like...
his favorite pastime.
The teacher, which is kind of like a fun play on words, passing notes, passing time. And like the teacher catches him, obviously, and he's like confessed his love to this girl, and it's like such a love letter. And then so the teacher reads it out loud in front of the whole class, and he's like so embarrassed. And because he shouldn't be passing notes, he's kind of like, all right, I'll go to the principal's office. He goes even before like the teacher tells him to.
Yeah.
And that's basically it. It's sort of just like a fun...
No. If you think that's bad, wait
What?
till you see his report card. That's the end. Because that line is just fucking great.
Right.
It just shows he's one of those tomfoolery loving, just one of those guys who or people, I shouldn't be so guy-like here in 2018. 2019, oh
Oh, yeah.
goodness, it's going to be a little bit of adapting. But like, he's just one of those people that can't get out of trouble. It's adorable. I mean, you know that this kid could easily not get into any of this trouble.
Like, he's not, like, being bad. He's just sort of being distracting, I think.
Like, it's like innocent shit, but he does it from the perspective of what it would be like to be that person so well. That like it's like you can tell he's fresh out of high school at this point, and this was his high school maybe.
Yeah.
And he's just your average troublemaker, but not like in a bad way. Just your average kid who would be given Ritalin today, right?
I guess so, yeah.
Anyway, look, the beat of this is silly and goofy and feels like it's a high school theme song type shit. Like, I don't know if that makes sense to y'all, but it has that, again, danciness to it. And the hook is just like the beat. It evolves a little bit by adding some melodic bass and some shit to really get you to groove it. And again, as much as there's these fun stories you can relate to, I guess if you're a high school kid, it also has that really well constructed song. Like, I think it's, again, not something I'm super like interested in because I'm a 31-year-old, but I still like the charm in this one. I feel like this is a better song than I Come Off, and I gave it a 4.25.
Yeah, I give this a 4.5. I mean, it's a fun song with a funny story, and I enjoyed it. And it's still like a relatively normal scenario. Like, we've all been there. We've all seen this happen. We've all, maybe we've been the kid like him who just kind of like constantly ends up in the principal's office for not really like bad behavior, but just for, like I said, distracting.
Especially with how hot the nurse is in the video.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next one is
Bust a Move.
So I watched the music video to this, and at a certain point, there's this like bass player that I see, and I'm like, is that fucking Flea? For those of you who know who Flea is, you know who it is. But the rest of you, it's the bassist of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who, I mean, the bass is one of my first loves in music, and I think Flea is my favorite bassist in terms of just how amazing, especially at that time.
He's been more into drums.
I mean, it was as exciting as finding out Travis Barker does the drums to a hip-hop song, which you do find out a whole bunch of times, because he did a lot of drums in the 90s, too. But Flea is like one of the greatest bassists of all times, and in my opinion, and he laid down the bass line to Bust a Move, which, like, from a hip-hop or from a music trivia point of view, that's some shit that I think is fun to know, because it's cool to see like such a guy from the rock scene, the funk scene over there,
Yeah.
Somebody that you wouldn't just think of as a hip-hop act typically if you're one of the regular folk, whereas now it's like you see, yeah, he's totally into that culture and shit, It's just, I mean, obviously the Chili Peppers rap, maybe that's a terrible fucking example. I don't know. I thought it was super interesting. Another fun factoid, I was listening to this phone interview of Young MC describing how he basically whipped this song out of his ass. He had like no time to write it. It was just like, get it done now. And he just wrote it real quick. And then he was going on at length about how he wrote 4/16s and how he's better than the young kids who can't even write like a proper 16, and I'm like, okay, Young MC. It went from being like a really fun story to Young MC is one of those old man rappers hating on fucking young kid hip hop now.
Kids these days.
Yeah, no, really. It's like, so Young MC, what kind of music you listen to? Oh, 30-year-old music. I don't fuck with this new shit. I mean, he said it more eloquently than that, but I was like, I love listening to these old man rappers. And I know one day I'll be an old man, but I'm not quite there. Not like that yet. But it was really funny to listen to. But I think it's super impressive that he literally ripped out a song, because he had helped out with somebody else's track a little bit before. Can't remember who it was. Maybe it was the Digital Underground. It was like somebody like that, some pop fucking banger.
Okay.
And he was so scared that like Bust a Move wasn't gonna perform, and well, little did he know at that time.
I always bust my move.
Anyway, as far as this song goes, I mean, it's just random ass scenarios where this guy wants to get with girls. They're all really attracted to him. He seems to not have any real skill with the ladies, and Young MC has given you the solution. Just bust a move.
Yeah.
And he's got a point. From my experience, most girls who've told me about their one-night stand experiences at the club, it was a guy who successfully danced with them that often initiated that shit in a very successful way. So there is some charm, I would suppose, to knowing how to bust a move and
I think
impress
it's more
a person.
like don't let all of like your negativity and like your like your self-esteem get in the way of everything. Like, just go out there and have confidence and you'll get the girls. And like, that's kind of what he's saying, like in every scenario. Like, you know, saying like, you know, there's a guy who thinks he's too fat, and there's, you know, like
a guy who thinks he's like a smart Poindexter. He
yeah,
can't do
and
it.
like, so it's just like, you know, just overcome those and don't like stick yourself in a box and be like that one person. Just get out there and dance.
Especially look with that fourth verse, right, where it's like you like he's at the wedding. Because your best friend Harry has a brother Larry. In 5 days from now, he's gonna marry. That is my least favorite fucking straight to reverse ever.
There's one more girl you won't be getting.
Literally made fun of that for years because I thought it was so dorky. Because you'd hear it on the radio, and this song got played in full back in the day. Yeah. Not paid in full, played in full. Anyway, and that would come on, and I'm like, is that really how he starts the verse? My best friend Harry
makes sense.
has a brother. Anyway, I didn't realize what the song was about as a kid. But I feel like the point of that verse, though, just like to your credit, is like the guy comes in and he's really sad and mopey that this hot chick is no longer on the market and available. It's marrying the friend. But
and he gets
because
something in
of
his
that,
eye.
he accidentally winks at the next chick who's down, and now he's just got to bust a move to secure the deal. And you better be willing to bust a move. It's a good way to secure the deal, or you really got to have something else going for you if you want to be posted at the wall. That's how I look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, the beat is kind of timelessly goofy. That's a good way to put it. I don't think I'll ever take this song fucking seriously. But it is fucking amazing for what it is. It's not like a song I'm going to go listen to. Bonnie will. Bonnie will absolutely listen to this. I won't. But if I'm ever at a social function, this is what I would call proper wedding music. Like, you throw this on when it's super safe.
This is totally wedding music.
And you want to watch people bust a move, and everybody all of a sudden forgets about their hatred of hip-hop and starts rapping along to this song. Because go up to your friends who, like, pretend that they hate rap music, and you all have those friends, and ask them about Bust a Move or Gangster's Paradise and watch how they go, yeah, but those songs are... That motherfucker likes rap. He just doesn't know it yet. Anyway... I get us a 4.5. The percussion's ridiculous. The bridges, the use of the music, the beat, it's all wonderful. The raps are dorky but have a point to it. His rhyming is fluid and flowy. Like, I can't say anything bad about this song. It's timeless. It will be played in 20 years, and nobody can stop that from happening. Young MC wrote an epic banger with Bust a Move that really did survive. This is a classic song. By all conceivable definitions of the word classic, it just is.
If you don't know this song, please go listen to it. Try not to bust a move.
And you know it because it was in some movie you watched. I gave it a 4.5 on 5. In light of everything I just said, it's a 4.5 on 5. It is not one of my favorite songs. It is fine. It is a great song, but my level of subjectiveness keeps me from giving it a 5.
This is a great song. I love the rhymes. I love the story. The stories like within it are so good, and they're fun, and like they're relatable. Like, these are all things that like you've heard about it, or like these are like not uncommon scenarios. The beat is pretty hype. I liked it. Like, you just like the second it comes on, bust it. Like, you just want to start dancing. Like, the very first beat that comes in, like it's so good. It's so much fun. This is and like I said, this is basically like a motivational song to get guys dancing, to get them out there, and to like make the moves on the ladies. Even if you think that you're not confident, if you just dance and you act like you are, like, you will get the ladies or the men, whichever you prefer. And like, even if like you're like missing something, or like you feel like you're lacking something, just have mad game, and you'll be good. And that's basically what he's saying. Like, he's giving you the beat. He's like, here, this is a beat that you're going to want to dance to. And he's kind of going through it and being like, well, if you're in any of these scenarios, and if you're not dancing to this like beat, like, what's wrong with you? Like, get out there. Like, you can just kind of see him like pushing you out there, like onto the dance floor. He's like, just go and dance to this song. Like, that's what I imagine anyways. And I love the "Move It, Boy." I love that line. Like, there's just it's just so good. I love it. I love all of it.
I like said it wrong the other day.
Move it, boy.
And she started rapping like the whole fucking verse. I didn't. This is the first song we've ever come across since we started reviewing these albums where I don't know the words and she does.
I think there's been a couple of like really random ones, but yeah, this is definitely
not
up
really
there.
Like this, not like this is like she can probably karaoke this shit live today. Anyway.
So it's good. Yeah, it's so much fun. This is obviously like a major hit. I think this was like, it was just appealing to everybody. Everybody wants to like have that confidence and go out there and dance. So this is a 5 on 5 for me. This is a great song. I love this song so much. It's so much fun. Like this would be on my like top 100 songs if I like was stranded on a desert island. If I could pick the songs that I could have with me, I would put this on just to dance to it. Because what else am I gonna do?
I don't know. I would not put this song on that list personally. But if I was on that island with her, I would have no fucking choice.
And it would be Non-Stop, which is the next song.
I'm like a RoboCop and you're a regular man. My rhymes are mine and not stolen. The mic that I'm holding.
This is a really good song. I actually really, really fucking like it.
Yeah.
It's so absolutely different from Bust a Move that like when it starts playing, I was like, what the fuck just happened?
It catches you off guard because it's so like dancey, and then like it's so much slower and kind of
like
creepy a little bit.
And then instead of it being like broken up verses or shit, it's literally one long verse of Young MC breaking down shit. Like we're back into the he's a good rapper part. This is more of the competitive sport of hip-hop, right? And I feel like he's trying to showcase both sides of that. Like he's a rhymer that can handle the party, the fun shit, because the first 3 songs, they're pretty fun. But like, so check it. First song, he's a skilled rhymer. Second song, he's a skilled storyteller over like a dancey beat. Third song, skilled storyteller over a dancey beat. Fourth song, dirty grimy rhymer. Like all of a sudden we're seeing like this like I mean grimy relatively speaking. This beat is grimy compared to like the other fucking two.
True, yeah.
My like first note is like the party's over and it's one long verse flowing and he's kind of intolerant of whack rappers and he's basically like showcasing why he's good. I don't have a lot to really state. There weren't like a lot of insane rhymes here that I thought were like super next level prolific, but I did like how he starts it again. Well, if you listen, you learning the money I'm earning. So it's like, this is how you make the money. You shut the fuck up and listen. You pay attention, see what's going on, and then you get the right to come in and speak and shit. But then there's like your classic, this era, hip-hoppy lines. What I mean by hip-hoppy is, again, that competitive sport type shit. My rhymes are mine and not stolen. The mic that I'm holding, you told me some rhymes that was weak, so I was rolling around on the ground because it was so damn funny. Hashtag ROTFL. Don't call me honey. No, you never make no money. My rhymes are written, fresh and never... I mean, it's kind of like that for like the whole song. And then he has stuff like non-stop for the rhythm, non-stop for the rhyme, non-stop for the people. Like, it's so, like, the best possible version of if you were to make fun of what 80s, like, if you were to parody 80s hip-hop, this would be the parody song written today. Only it's, like, super sincere and it's really good for what it is. And I don't mean that in any kind of disrespect. I'm just trying to, like, describe how I see it, So I really like how it flows. I like that eerie beat, how it just slightly keeps changing, like just layers come in a little bit, layers flow out a little bit, Young MC keeps breaking it down, and all of a sudden, like, we see like almost a different side about him. I make the crowd go insane, don't use cocaine, that's fine, that's a side of him that, I mean, it's still the first we've really seen, but cool. And I like that he specifies he doesn't use it. I'm not really a fan
which we find out later on that he's pretty, like...
anti-drugs, like one side of the 80s, I guess. But coke is really, like, a weird one. I don't judge people who do it, but I've never met somebody who does coke regularly who I ended up thinking was somebody I liked after a while. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't know what I mean. Maybe you like coke and you don't like what I just said.
Which would make sense.
I like to travel a lot because I travel by airplane, sitting by the window, sleeping with a bimbo, take off your balance like your life was in limbo. I'm like, all right, we got some like actual flossing about his life peeking on through. Because for like 3 songs, there was Nothing about the quality of his life that got talked about. And this is like a little sneak into the fact that he actually is living a higher quality life than perhaps other people.
Well, I think we did get a bit of a sense of that. I think we see that we find out that he's like living in like university dorms. So
That's not high
mean?
quality. I mean, like flying through airplanes and fucking hoes is a little bit more of the finer
I
life,
guess,
you would
yeah.
say.
But I'm just trying to like imagine like he's just like
That
a
end
normal
of it.
guy.
But that's it. Everything else we've seen up until this moment is that he's a normal guy. And all of a sudden, he's like, yeah, but I'm not. You think I am, but I'm actually just that good. And I think that's really cool. I ended up giving this one equal grade to Bust a Move with a 4.5 because I thought it was fucking fantastic. However, he does say, my rap is inconceivable. It's unbelievable. To me, it's easy. To you, it's unachievable. I mean, I can see how in the 80s that might have been a little bit true, but like a lot of people managed to achieve what he could do on this flow after the fact. So I just wanted to say that it's really funny when I hear these guys point out like, my shit's so good, nobody can rap it. And then like Tech Nine just murks what he's about to do on the next track. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Which makes sense. I don't know, when we talk about the next song.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cute. Some of these lines are really fucking cute in hindsight, but 4.5 on 5. Great song.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I was obviously, I think maybe just because of, like, the kind of high you come off of from, like, Bust a Move, and then you kind of go into this one, it definitely, like, it kind of, like, is such, like, so different, that I just feel like I wasn't such a fan of this beat, after that, especially, like, there wasn't much of a transition, I think, so maybe, like, if he had put this somewhere else on the album, maybe it would have worked better. Basically that he's destroying rappers and he's, across the country, he's traveling, he's doing his thing, he's performing and he's doing better than a lot of other people. It is one long verse, it is nonstop, right? So it's one long verse and he's kind of bragging about, when he grabs the mic, it's nonstop. And that's kind of what he's showing us here. So for me, like, I wasn't such a big fan of this. Like, I found it was okay, but I didn't find it was very catchy. But I do think that his rhymes are pretty good. But like, this is definitely not like one of my favorites on the album. So I give this a 3.75.
All right, well, let's talk about the fastest rhyming.
Okay.
Vicious space, the vicious house. I'm really gonna make you hypnotized, but then you're rocking it to the break of dawn.
So it kind of like drops a beat on this one. It's a little more a cappella. Mm-hmm. It is apparently not the fastest rhyme at the time, but it was one of the fastest rhymes at the time, which is pretty cool. And you can see how he's kind of like moving towards what would become chopping and other such things. So again, if he was in a Tech 9 now and see how polished that speed is, and you look at all of the stuff that's in 2018, this is not the fastest rhyme. But that's not what's even interesting about this song to me. What's really interesting is that we have a rare use in hip-hop of anadiplosis. Anadiplosis. I don't know how to fucking say the word. This is the poetic element of having every line start with the end of the previous line. So, Young MC, that is my name, I'm rocking it for you, is my game. And in the next line, it is my game, but what do you like? The Young MC is on the mic. Then the next line, on the mic and in that place. So that poetic element is really, really cool. My favorite use of it on a rap song is Row Your Boat by Ella Wolf, which dropped in 2017. But like, I thought when I clicked it, that's what he was doing. I was like, damn, that is the most interesting thing about this song, because literally none of the lines of that stand out to me. This is about flossing flow, which for the time is next level. For like the datedness of it, it's not. So I ended up giving this a 4. It's okay. Mm-hmm. I love the use of anadiplosis, but like other than that, it's okay. I get what he's doing. I love the historical value of what he's doing. It's just not mine. I think it was like fine. I mean I could skip this one.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is really. It's a very quick rap. He's obviously kind of like showing off and flossing a little bit here. It's only 49 seconds, so it is quite quick, short. It's nonstop. Like he does it like, he kind of goes in and it's just like da 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 da, and it doesn't stop until the song's over. It's good. I gave it a 4 on 5 as well. Yeah. I don't have too much else to say about that, but I do appreciate. Like I was wondering, like it just made me think like, oh, if when you're in university or maybe in high school when he wrote this, probably university. I mean, like you take some extra classes that aren't necessarily, economics or whatever. So maybe he took like a poetry class, and like he was introduced to like that sort of like poetry and like that kind of flow, and kind of maybe this song, he brought it to class. Maybe he was like, he wrote it for an assignment, and because he had to, and this is what came of it. So I think that's kind of cool, or at least it was influenced. I'm just making this all up off of my own judgment, but yeah, 4 on 5.
All right. Well, My Name Is Young is the next song because my name is Holden.
Mix, scratch, and blend every now and then, but I love to rock the mic when I'm around my friends.
This one was like 5 minutes long. Very long song. And I was not quite as into it as some of the other ones. I'll be completely honest with you. It is another one of those, I am Young MC, I'm a dope rapper, I am my own distinct person, as I think the point he's trying to make. Like, you get that, like, and I'm worth my weight in gold, golden weight my worth, not Dougie, Run, Houdini, Cool J, or Shan, all poppin' MCs at the time. My name is Marvin, Young MC, and I'm a hell of a man. So I think he's really just trying to, like, take this song to further drill down on like the brand recognition. This is what Young MC is all about. I'm about sobriety. I ain't into drugs and alcohols, without the crack, marijuana, cocaine, or speed. I don't drink or smoke, and that ain't no joke, yo. That is one of those like seminal 80s fucking things. I don't drink or smoke, and that ain't no joke. That's a seminal statement in my opinion. He just picks up the mic and he goes for broke. And it flows like this the whole song. I don't think that there was anything overly next level for me. Like, he has lines that are like really cool, and then he's gotta put the cap and crunch and the oil and oil of Olay, and you just see he rhymed about like anything, and it flowed. This beat was really percussion-y, and it was okay. Wasn't my favorite. The chorus was fine. His name is Young, and then some samples, and then it's just long. That is my overall feelings. It just kind of, by the end, I'm like, I'm really not feeling like I admire what this is. Like, I feel like in some of these cases, it's like, I don't think these are bad songs. I think these are not songs for me. So I gave this a 4.1 because, let's be real, it's really well mixed. The beat's really well made. It might not be a style that I'm into, and it might be a little corny and dorky, but overall, it's really well done, and it is like true to form of what I picture his brand to be, at least at this time. It fits really well into this album. It feels like we're moving a little bit towards more of like the dancier side of things again.
Yeah.
And it did make that one song still stand out as being a little bit more jarring, but still it feels like we're back into the fun flow of the album. We're getting to know him a little bit better. He's an intense rhymer, but like he's also super clean. And I like that image that he's putting out. But man, some of those lines are a little bit corny like 30 years later. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's nothing like super substantial in here, but it is definitely kind of like telling his story and what he is and why he's doing what he's doing. He's kind of saying like his name is Young MC, basically because he was young when he started. So he's kind of like saying like, I've been rapping for years. So he's kind of saying like this isn't just something new. Like, he didn't just start just because it is the cool thing to do. He's always been doing it. And it's okay. It's and basically about how he's doing well for himself, and how he basically never misses up on an opportunity to perform or to make money, and like that's kind of where he's at now. And he likes showing off his skills, and he does it on this song, and he will take any opportunity he can to show off his skills. So that's good. It sounds very like 80s, 90s. It sounds very early like that. Again, I give it a 4 on 5. I mean, there's not too much more to say.
All right. Well, I guess he has no how.
In England, raise a holler, start to go for myself. This is Stone Cold Rhymin, no frills, no fluffs, and it's no accident.
The beat steps the fuck up.
Yep.
The flow steps the fuck up. Like, this is maybe the best fucking song we've heard so far on this project to me. Bust the Move has like a nostalgia element to it, right?
Yeah.
But this comes in with that boom, boom, whatever.
It's very like 70s. It's very like, it sounds like
this-
it was taken from like, I don't know, from like a 70s song.
But like that beat is just next level. Like it just sounds so like fucking like distinct. Like it maybe it's the lack of 80s feel. But then it kicks in
Maybe
with the danciness to it. And then it's more than that, right? Because his rhyming is intense here. Like it's coming in
Yeah.
like a fury, and he's faster in like a smooth way, not like the fastest rhyme which felt a little bit uncertain and choppy. This has some fucking swagger. Like he's right. You know what he reminds me of? Samuel L. Jackson in anything on this song. Okay, he's the Samuel L. Jacksonist he ever gets on this fucking project.
All right.
And it's just the flow. Like some of the busiest rhymes ever made by man are going into this mic, written by this hand, are coming out of this mouth, made by this tongue. I'll tell you tell you now my name is Young. I'm like, again, we're not maybe going over the fucking top with the lyrics because he's that kind of guy, but the rhyme, the flow, the way it all fits together, the syllables, it's so fucking well written, you know? Like, this is Stone Cold Rhymin, no frills, no fluffs. Like, I can't say it better than him. He dropped it into this. That is the purpose of what the fuck he's doing here. And I feel like this song epitomizes, like, awesome combination. It makes me want to move, mixed with actually great rap that makes me want to vibe to it at the exact same time. Like, this feels timeless in a way where I feel like anybody could put it on today and it just fucking flows well with any rap song that's popping off. Maybe not on the effects side of things, but, like, in the overall talent and shit, you know? Like, I love the second verse where he starts off, I got juice like the president, I'm making rappers hesitant, invite me to your house and I'll be chilling like a resident. And it's just such a simple innocuous, like I'm great, but I'm not arrogant. I'm not going to be like that next level person. I'll just be a regular dude if you invite me over because I'm like chill like that. And he just seems so grounded and so like fucking down to earth. Anyway, I like when I'll treat him like double mint gum and start chewing. I spit him out when the flavor's gone and I repeat the chew in practice till the break of dawn. It's so safe and innocuous. I'm just going to chew some gum and spit it out. Oh, that's your fucking rap career, motherfucker. See, he's not saying those subtext words I'm deriving from what he's saying here. Anyway, I overall thought this was like really stand out. Like if you wanted because I'm bad at pointing out standout songs, this is a standout song I think for people who don't want to hear Bust a Move but also want some really crazy and interesting shit to listen to from the 80s that was fucking fire in my opinion.
Yep.
So I give this a 4.5 on 5. It's a really well built, well put together song that has an energy that I don't feel like we get enough of on this project.
True. I mean, there's definitely some sick rhymes on this song. Like, it's pretty good. I think the beat is really cool. I do like that, like, kind of like, that was not it at all. But I like that 70s feel. Like, it sounds like a little bit kung fu or like, I don't know. There's something about it, like, kind of it just makes you think of 70s, like, instantly. And he knows how to, like, hype up a party, and he knows how to, like, perform well, and he does kind of, like, the same Bust It from Bust a Move, which I feel like he kind of reuses because it is, like, his, like, hit song, right? So, but this is definitely a good song as well. And, like, there are, like I said, there are kind of pieces of, like, Bust a Move in, like, other songs on this album, which we'll kind of hear. But this is, like, it's well rapped. It's a good beat. Like, you really can't hate on this song at all. Like, if you need something to feel good, put this album on. Put this, like, song on. Like, it's going to be good. Like, I kind of feel like I should have given this, like, a little bit of a higher grade, but I gave it a 4.25. And it's at least that.
All right. So the next one shows a little bit of optimism from the young MC as he rolls with the punches.
The monotony, so when the weekend comes, it's like you had a lobotomy. You can't do a thing without the...
I like how he can, like, tell stories with a greater narrative and really, like, piece it all together. I mean, this song is literally what the title is. It's about rolling with the punches, regardless of the goofy circumstances that come up. But instead of maybe talking about the crack-selling empire or his rags to riches story or flossing, he takes some very different approaches with this song. Like, it starts off like, roll with the punches, what I tell to people when things don't go too well. When you go for the gold and come back empty, when the ups are few and the downs are plenty. So basically this whole song is like the introduction sets the whole song up to be, his overall philosophy for when shit hits the fan and it's not as nice as you kind of want it to be. And then he starts talking about work and how things weren't proper and the boss isn't yelling and, you know, the government takes all your fucking money on the taxes and whatever. And when everything's fucking terrible and, you know, roll with it because soon you'll be getting all the good shit. So roll with the punches. I'm like, that is the most regular ass shit ever, right?
Yep.
We're talking about every one of us. Like, we have jobs. You probably have a job. I mean, if you're watching us and you're famous, that's fucking dope. Really dope. But
But
otherwise,
you still probably have a job.
that's it. And you probably, you know, you get a nice bonus from work. The government takes a nice chunk. You look at the number after, you're like, holy shit. You know, like, you roll with the punches, though, because at least you got it. And then verse 2 is about this goofy story about how he goes to buy a lottery ticket and he picks his regular 4 numbers. And then the last 2 is, like, his birthday normally, but he switches it to some girl he's trying to smash for good luck. And then as he's watching and the things come up, it was his numbers, his birthday, not the girl's. So he would have won if he just gone with his hunches, but instead he has to take the L and roll with the punches.
Yeah.
And then it's just goofy like that, you know? And then another situation about girls and doesn't go proper, and she's like, I think sleeping around on him or whatever. And it's got this fun, goofy, like, do kind of beat where, like, you can't help it, bop your head and feel like, oh, well. But yeah, it's going to be okay. Like, it feels like an 80s fucking sitcom as the song is playing out. And it's got a lot of charm to it. I think it's a really cool side of it, and it really shows off his ability as a storyteller, but simultaneously sells a really cool philosophy. Like, look, bad shit happens to everybody. You have 2 choices. You can whine and mope, or you can roll with the punches. And I think most of us like to whine and mope, and more of us could benefit from following in the wise words of Young MC and rolling with them punches. I digress. I get this a 4.25. I thought it was a really cool song, but it's still in that list of ones that I'm probably not going to listen to very much in my life.
Okay. I mean, you kind of summed up what it is. It's, you know, go with the flow of life. Like, things don't always work out. Like, even for him, even for, like, you know, famous people or, you know, celebrities or whatever, like, things don't always work out, not for anybody. And you could end up rich or you could end up with nothing. And, you know, you'll never know. And that's life. And then he kind of talks about, like, you know, the lottery story and whatever else, and he just kind of rolls with the punches because of that and some of the other stuff. And he has like several girls because you just never really know. You never know which one's going to work out, so you just roll with the punches. And so you just, you know, go on dates with all these girls. So it's a good story, and he's just kind of saying, like, just, you know, go with the flow of life, you know, like, don't let things that get stuck with you, and you just let them go and, you know, move on to the next thing. So yeah, I mean, I gave it a 4.25.
Fair enough. And the truth is, I let him know.
But hear it when the mic's on my head, cause I'm hard to swallow, a tough act to follow, I'm solid straight through.
I don't really have too much to say about this song, actually. It definitely stands out, and I do like it. Is that Play That Funky Music?
Sample.
The sample is kind of like mixed into the beat, and I like that. Again, so he's kind of like, you know, focusing on like 1970s stuff. He's kind of giving that 70s kind of feel. So I like that. And this is basically another song where he's just showing off, and he's just, you know, letting us know that he's still, you know, a good rhymer, a good rapper, and like, for me, like, there wasn't much to this. It was just sort of like self-promotion. So it sounded good, but that's pretty much all I have to say. So I gave it a 3.75.
Yeah, I mean, I think my main feelings on this was the first song where it kind of felt fillery. Like, it felt like, not that this in and of itself was bad, but I feel like, I mean, when you're thinking about it from a reviewing perspective, you're often going, what's the song about? What's the sound like? And you're really analyzing. And so you track data towards your review, right? And then you come across a song later on the album, and you're like, damn, every note I could possibly make about this, except for the specific lyric differences, are kind of already been said. Except that I didn't really like this beat as much. I don't know, it sounded like cowbelly. I know it wasn't cowbellies, but these like twangy, cymbally, percussion-y things were being used. Wasn't a big fan of those. But the overall, so the beat was a miss, we'll say, for me. Like, I get it, it's still dancey, it still works, and I could see how other folk really dig it, but for me, it didn't sit right. And then as far as his rhyming, like, it was just, again, pretty much on par with what he's been doing. So, like, the quality of it hasn't dipped. But this isn't the story time where we can sit there and be like, ha, it's a goofy fucking weird story I can relate to. This is more Young MC doing really soft, braggadocious rhymes where they, like, so just like Clark Kent is into Superman, I become a superhero when the mic's in my hand because I'm hard to swallow, a tough act to follow. I'm solid straight through while the others are hollow. I believe him, but that isn't like next level writing. It's good flowing, it's good rapping, but the quality of the writing isn't necessarily like. Listen, like, he literally goes, "So listen, party people, I got something to say. I guess I'm just like Burger King because you have it your way."
There's a few rappers who have used that line.
So when you look at it from that perspective, even if Young MC was the first guy to do this, that's cool. I'm not even trying to take shots at his historical relevance here. I'm just saying this particular song felt very fillery, or like whatever, like the trick where he repeats the first couple of words, like they think they're out of jail, they're only on parole, they think they're walking on water when they're on a jet ski, they think they're hot on the mic, they ain't as hot as me. They think he's done that on other songs.
Yeah. So
almost every trick he's used on this song has been used previously on the album, I think, is what really takes it away from me. But I don't want to come off like it's a really bad song. It's well produced, well done, everything's right about it. I did really like when he like when he.
Do you have anything else to say about this song or no?
Yeah, I was just reading. Oh no, this is I let him know. I got confused. I started reading on the next note songs. Anyway, that's fine. I don't know. I give it a 4.1. It's fillery. It's as good as, like, I would say the standard of this album is. So if you're feeling the overall sound of this album, you're going to feel this track. For me, I'm like, it's a little too 80s-y for me. So why don't we pick up the pace and see if Pick Up the Pace is any better.
All right.
Yeah, it starts off with like this goofy little slow music boxy doo kind of thing going on, and then it just stops and it picks up the pace and gets dancey, and then a Young MC comes in and I'm like, I see what you did there, and I rolled my eyes a little bit. What do you think of this song?
I very much enjoyed like the old school influences that were featured, especially at the beginning of this one. This was apparently used for Marked for Death soundtrack, and I feel like it definitely sounds like it was made for a movie, this one. But I've never heard of that movie, so I don't know if that's a very popular movie.
Because Steven Seagal is not the biggest actor love of a lot of women of your age. Your mom, or maybe your people in their 50s now, I think, would feel very differently about Steven Seagal than you do.
Well, I've never heard of this song, and I've never heard of this movie.
You got to keep in mind, he was a heartthrob when ponytails were cool.
Yeah. Anyways, this one definitely sounded like particularly 80s. Like, it definitely didn't sound like it was like on the cusp of like the 90s. And I did feel like a little bit of like De La Soul kind of like feeling in here. And I think that they were about the same time. So I think that maybe like one influenced the other, or kind of back and forth a little bit. For me, I did not really like this song so much. I didn't find it so good, but there were a lot of like good elements in the song, but it just didn't mesh well together for me and make like a good hit. So I give this a 3.5.
That's fair. I mean, I like the bass, like the beat. I actually really enjoy it. Those bass-driven beats really sit well from the 80s, I think, more so than the other ones. But in this one, it's fine. I believe he's trying to justify his speed, which I guess if this was really fast compared to like what everyone else was accustomed to listening to, you'd probably get like a lot of the same bullshit comments like when people put on fast rap of today, which is like twice as fast, and go, I can't understand anything. Okay, fine. So I think like he's probably getting a lot of the same kind of criticisms, and his attitude is like, well, I could slow down, or y'all could just speed up. And he's deciding to go faster because it's more interesting and whatever.
Yeah.
My favorite part of this track is like, now I could go slower like the other guys do, but I ain't with it. That's what I'm telling you. I think it's kind of stupid. I think it's a disgrace. Instead of going slower, they should be picking up the pace like this. And then you gotta keep in mind, he's setting it up. He's about to go in, right? Rock and roller, Coca-Cola, hot like solar, rolling like a boulder, dancing, prancing, Mike and Hansen, just give me a chance and girls are romancing. I mean, he does pick up the pace and it's a nice flow and it's like rock and roller, Coca-Cola, but it is at that speed. I actually talk faster than he raps when he picks up the pace in this song in a lot of cases. So for me, it was like the goofiest, funniest shit in the world.
Yeah, kind of ironic.
But at the same time, I appreciate what he's doing in terms of in the times and everything and the historical context. It's kind of like Baby It's Cold Outside. It's rapey until you learn about the 40s and 30s culture, and then it's not rapey anymore. And history matters, kids. So yeah, that's how I felt about this. It was pretty good for the time. Now it's a little goofy. It's fine. I give it a 4.1. Because again, I think these are better than like your average good songs. Like a little bit better.
That
really,
0.1% better.
Exactly. That 0.1 better than my normal good grading of a 4. Just a little smidge. Anyway, he's got more rhymes. That's all I got to say.
Thank goodness.
I rock from Iowa to Idaho, Canada to Mexico. I came into the place, you party people, just to let you know.
This one is, again, 5 minutes long, but I think it does a really good job of changing the beat in ways that Young MC just keeps going like he's going, but it goes from feeling like it just feels snugger and more like tight and more enveloping as the song goes on, just on how they morph the beat by adding a couple layers, taking out a couple of things, and I really love the production on this song. I feel like they flip it up, it just makes it all fucking great. And then there's like a whole other verse where he starts off and says something that I wondered how this would go over in 2018.
Okay.
I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but I believe somewhere he goes, a boy is a boy and a girl is a girl, and I'm like, oh shit, damn, yo, you can't say that shit no more, because gender norms. I'm just like, can you imagine something so like innocuous as that? And
Yep.
And he only sleeps with women because he is a heterosexual.
Which is fine. He's not saying anything bad
no.
about homosexuals.
I don't know. I don't think he is. I think everything he said is totally fine. I'm just making fun of the state of the world right now. Because it's
Fair enough.
To be fair, this rhymes would be unacceptable shit depending on who listened to it in 2018. I watched the Fine Brothers and their bullshit reaction diss Seinfeld. Okay, that's where we're at in the world. Okay, Seinfeld's fucking offensive. That's where we're at in the world, okay? So, anyway, this song's fine. I, again, like his humility. Like, now, with a voice like this, I rock so well, but I'm not Prince, Lionel Richie, or Patti LaBelle. I've never heard anybody mention Patti LaBelle in a song like this before, so
Thank
respect.
goodness somebody finally did.
He's not the car, the Pretenders, and he is not in the Love Shack with the B-52s.
Oh, no.
His name is Young MC, and he is the one you should choose, although the Love Shack did sound pretty good. All I'm trying to say is this song is fine. He's literally he references the People's Court. I don't know if that's the show.
Yes.
Is it like the show was around back then?
Yes.
I didn't even realize the People's Court's that old. My mom was watching Judge Judy fucking yesterday. That shit's still around. Judge Judy.
She's still going. She's still judging.
So this song is fine. He does the busted again here, which I'm
Yep.
stealing your talking point.
Yep.
And then, yeah, I don't know. It's fine. He is basically just flossing on this one. I like the beat a lot. I don't think his rhymes are particularly substantial. I like him better with his storytelling, I think, than with his flossing, because he's not going in on the flossing. He's being kind of safe with it, which is fine. But in 2018 makes it sound kind of weak, all things considered. And I'm not saying it is weak. I'm saying with my lens of the future looking back in the past, it comes off kind of weak. And so it's harder to get into. But that beat is so... I listened to this song multiple times just because that beat had me like... Doom, doom, doom,
It is a good beat, for sure.
doom, 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 whatever.
That was not.
4.1 on 5 again for this song.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely chose like a couple of lines as well that I thought were particularly interesting. And from Earth to solar system and to galaxy, it's really hard to get a ticket to hear Young MC. I beg to differ. My sister went, like I said, it seems like anybody can get a ticket if you just choose to purchase one. So,
Oh!
not that difficult.
Sorry, AMC. You just got destroyed. And then this is where like the tabloid article would be like, Young MC exposed.
So yeah, I mean, there's just that. And I also chose, because I got more rhymes than the other guys do. They're just a monkey. I'm the whole damn zoo. I thought that, like, again, like another one. You're like, yeah, okay.
Like, okay, you get what you're saying, but really what you're saying...
It's like, we get it. You're the whole shebang. Like, you're the whole show.
And I'm not even doubting you.
But sometimes people just go for the monkeys. Sorry.
I mean, yeah, it's just dorky.
Yes, it definitely sounds very like family friendly music. It definitely sounds like that. It is interesting rhymes, but still like maybe not the most like hardcore rapper we've heard. I give this a 4.25. I liked his unique rhymes. It's not a hit, that's for sure, but it's definitely a nice song. It's enjoyable. Good job.
All right, let's talk about a song with one rhyme, one rhyme sound.
Yeah.
Stone Cold Buggin.
But I initiated, and I got mad and quite agitated, and I remember rhymes.
Every line ends with the A sound. I'll show you what I mean. Now this rhyme right here has been dedicated. See, it ends with an A sound. To all the rap fans out there who said they were hated. All the way till he strikes out with the girl and jacks off to the bikini issue of Sports Illustrated. Sorry, I just paraphrased what he meant by the last line. Because Sports Illustrated has the swimsuit edition. And back then, there was no free Pornhubs and shit. Just imagine a world where you had to jack off to fucking Sports Illustrated because there was no porn
Or the
on your
Sears
phone.
catalog. The good old days.
Like, for real. I mean, I turned 18 right as free porn came in, and I was able to get my hands on it, and, well, life changed. But then...
I think there was still, like, late night cable TV kind of stuff that would show
erotica
up.
bullshit was not real porn. That was...
The Blue Nuit or whatever it
we
is.
had Blue Nuit here, so you could watch erotica where you could see a lot of boobs, but you weren't getting any genital actions. You got implied genital actions. No, I'm talking about the real shit. Back in the days of 30-second clips of blonde girls and black guys. Those were the freaking days of the early free porns. Anyway, so yeah, this was the
In
sports...
case you wondered.
This is the Sports Illustrated. Is how it ends. Anyway, the song is just a little goofy tale, and like he meets a girl, and like I guess they have a kid, and then they get divorced. She takes all his money. He wins all that back, and then finds another girl. And
I don't think they have a kid.
Oh, maybe I fucked that up. Sorry. And then anyway, goes away, realizes go home and jerks off. I didn't care a whole lot about the story of the song. It was just kind of fun to listen to still, and I kind of thought it was like a good. It's more on the storytelling side of his rhyming, but it was short. It was kind of like whatever, but it was like better, I feel, than the braggadocious shit, because he really has this ability to like make you care what the fuck happens next in the story. Even if I don't remember the details of the story, like when you get to that last line and you kind of crack a smile when he like ends it all on this goofy self-deprecating note.
Yeah.
I think it's really well done. He kind of, and it kind of like looks at his rise to fame, divorce court, winning his reversal, and it just flows through a little sequence of events over time. All that to say some girl got him to be a little more stone cold in his way of rhyming, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I give it a 4.25, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I like the rhymes in this one. I think that they're pretty cool. And I like how it is all like the same like rhyme scheme. It is only a minute 41, so it isn't like too long of a song. I didn't necessarily love the beat. It wasn't my favorite. And he just kind of is saying that how he kind of fell in love quickly, and like this girl ended up kind of taking advantage of him, and because of his own naivete, and basically took him for everything that he has, and like they got divorced, and it's kind of like, well, you know, like you said, you just roll with the punches, you know, you just kind of like move on with it. And it just sort of, it's an okay song for me. And it's just sort of like the moral of the story is like, just be careful who you marry, or like don't jump into things too quickly or whatever. So I guess a 3.75.
That's fair. The last one on this album is that anti-drug banger, Just Say No. Just like Nancy Reagan said.
No, dedicated to the people who are on the go. And we can help you out if you're.
This song has the best fucking beat on the album. I don't care how much you like Bust a Move. This beat is so fucking good. I almost wish it wasn't the fucking pop anti-drug anthem banger.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, this song is exactly what it is. Historical context makes a lot of sense.
Well, I think he is trying to do something good for society. I think he's trying to like stop, like, you know, this is like the time where there was like the crack epidemic.
That's it. So
like he's just trying to like teach young kids to just be like, just don't do it. But the ignorance
into drugs on this song is so fucking hard to get past. Okay.
Why? Because you mean the line, "Some people die from smoking reefer like they die from crack."
Like, bro.
Really?
Like, come on. Now, I understand the lies that okay. For those of you who are American citizens watching this, your government lies about statistics. If you don't believe me, look up the condom rate statistics posted by the U.S. government, and they silenced them in the year 2000. So you don't even have real fucking statistics from your government. All that to say, the information flowing in crack era fucking Reagan epidemics about drugs coming from that government was probably not the most honest. They labeled everything as fucking evil. Yeah. Another fun fact is that people were lacing joints with cocaine. And so in the context of if your joint is laced with cocaine, you might actually overdose and die. And considering people did some shit or they laced it with PCP and things like that, there is some validity.
We all know that, you know, there was some lacing with Kendrick Lamar.
Or like the entire Tikal album from Method Man.
Yeah.
But not the entire thing. I know you did a lot of dust back then, and I know that they would lace the joints with dust. All I'm trying to say is there are contexts where how weed was being consumed back then, you could overdose and die. And I could see how if you're so straight edge that you don't really know about pot or anything, that you may be like able to make a statement like you'll die from fucking smoking reefer like crack. Like, come on, bro. Now, weed is addictive. Whatever anyone wants to tell you, there's a lot of addictive sides to weed in terms of a psychological dependency on the comfort it gives you, like everything else, like Call of Duty, like gambling, like shit. One of the lines I love, though, was the same people telling you not to smoke crack are the same people with a joint in their hand. And I'm like, yeah, he's got a point, eh? How are you telling kids not to do drugs while you're smoking drugs in front of their face? Because from a kid's perspective, there might not be the whole difference. But on the real, there's a huge motherfucking difference from smoking weed and smoking crack.
But I think he's also saying, like, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything.
Yeah,
like,
so
I'm a
his
clean guy.
opinion
Like,
counts. Now, I don't agree with the message that a person who smokes dope, as in weed, because I know dope means a lot of things, is like incapable of telling other people not to do other drugs. But I do think that the hypocrisy he points out is pretty fair. It's kind of like anyone who ever did drugs just shaming kids who do drugs today. It's like, come on, bro. Or like, where do you draw the line? Maybe like, and that's another argument. Where is the line? Now, I personally don't think marijuana is a problem, and there's enough evidence and science today to support that it's not as destructive as a lot of people think. But on the other hand, it's not as harmless as a lot of other people think too. So an honest conversation about drugs is really important. And while I like what he intended to do with this song, the part where it just feels like propaganda as opposed to an actual message is hard to get past, because the just say no idea isn't nuanced enough to like take into account real life, and that's a problem. Abstinence is not effective. Go look up those condom statistics. Like I told you, go look into that situation.
It's like young girls that get knocked up because they didn't know that they could get pregnant by like...
So just say no tends to be an attitude that actually leads to bigger problems in the grand scheme of things, but in the historical context, it's dope. I mean, I get this a 4.25. I actually think it's a pretty fucking cool song. That beat is really good. His storytelling is on point. It's dorky and it's corny and it's full of misinformation, in my opinion. But he does touch on some really interesting points at the same time. And if I was him in the 80s and I was in his stance, I totally get where he's coming from.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a malicious. It is a little preachy and ignorant, but it's not malicious. So I can get behind what he's doing. But fuck, this sounds like propaganda.
Yeah, I know. I get your point. I really do. It definitely sounds like it's directed at youth. It's like this is for like young kids to just learn to kind of grow up, just being like, just say no, like with that kind of. So like, look at how cool like young MC is. I'm not doing drugs. Like it's kind of like he's setting the example a little bit. And this is clearly for young kids, and I think that he knows that. This is his audience. This is who's going to listen to his album. This is who's going to like be buying his tape. And I like that it was worked on by Quincy Jones. He's super popular, and he's got a lot of experience. And you won't know what happens if you say yes. So say no. So like there's that kind of like if you're not sure what the consequence is going to be, why would you want that? Like why are you choosing that life? So for me, like it was a good song. It's not the best song.
It's just kind of ignorant.
Yeah, I mean it's a positive message, but a classic it does not make. I give this a 3.75. It was not my favorite, but it's still good. It is definitely 80s.
All right, I guess that's it for the Stone Cold Rhymin Young MC project. I got this shit a 4.23 on 5. I think it's pretty well grounded. I think there are moments that really like stand out, like his storytelling. His braggadocious stuff, not my favorite. The more cool and less 80s-y the beat sounded, I think, the more I liked it. But at the same time, the production across this album is really well grounded and really groove oriented, where it's easy to just like I listened to this album 3 times in a row the other day just because it had been a minute and I knew we were going to be talking about it. And I just wanted to see what happened. I was playing Civilization. I was listening to this album and I looped it 3 times. And I could have played it a 4th time and it would have been totally fine, except for the fast rhyming song, which just breaks up the whole flow of the fucking album. But like otherwise, it's like... It's a really cool project. Like, and as far like a lot of other 80s stuff, like let's say Public Enemy, I find it harder to get into. I respect the rhyming and the writing and the political side of it so much more, but the overall sound isn't as fun for me as say like this Young MC project, which was really cool. Anyway, I dig it. I definitely like all the beats that come after this in the history of music more per se. Like I'm really into the 90s, early 2000s shit a lot more than the 80s, but I feel like it's growing on me and I am not disappointed to have heard this project.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I definitely thought that like he was very much like a one-hit wonder. And in a way, he still kind of is. Like, after, especially, I've only listened to this one album of his. So I don't know. Maybe he does have other hits, along the line if he's still making music. But, like, on this album, like, there's really one hit that stands out for me, at least. And then the rest are good, but not, like, necessarily great songs. So I give this a 4.05 on 5, so that's 81%. And... like, I feel like that's, like, a fair enough, like, grade. Because I think some of the songs, this is Classic Quest. We're trying to find, like, real classics for you. And I think that, some of the songs are a classic and still translate today and still can be enjoyed today. And, like, the whole album experience, like, I had no problem listening to it at all. Like, it is, like, fun to listen to over and over again. And it doesn't really get, like, boring, but... a lot of them, like, if you really listen to the words and, like, the sounds of them, they definitely sound dated. So they don't always translate into, like, music that's still, like, relevant today. Kind of just like the Just Say No one. Like, I mean, yeah, kids can still say no to drugs, and it's still a positive message, and it still works. But I think some of, like, the truth within it isn't necessarily accurate. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I gave it. It still technically, like, just makes it into the Classic Quest.
And fun anecdote I just learned.
What?
He doesn't play Principal's Office anymore in shows because he recognizes how ludicrous it would be for a 50-year-old man to be rapping that song. And he hasn't done it in a while.
That's good.
But funnily enough, that was the breakout hit in Australia. It wasn't Bust a Move. Anyway.
That makes sense. It's a good song.
thank y'all for watching this. It really means the world. So sorry again for letting it go a month without a classic class. We won't do that anymore. We know that this is probably your favorite show, people watching this. It really means a lot. Again, please let us know in the comments what you guys thought of this, your experiences with the Young MC.
What albums you want us to review?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he has other albums worth reviewing. His like other stuff would come on when I finished the album, and it just seemed a bit like watered down versions of 2008 music, that 2008 album he had. But anyway, let us know what's dope. Let us know what other albums you want to see us cover, and let's just have a conversation down there. That seems to be the trend, but I will answer all the comments that come on the channel. We're small enough that I can make that claim. Special thanks to the patrons: Lindell Williams, this one's for you. Ismail Gademsi, yours is next. Chris Prado, Super Old School 1994, yours are coming. Anyway, yeah. If you want to support the channel and see us grow into something bigger, you can join us on Patreon, where you can force some requests to happen as well. That's part of what we do there. Also, get access to content early when we're on time with that shit. And then as we grow it out, we're going to be building out a Discord or some other things to give you guys some more direct access to us and to create a cooler, like more just people who love talking about albums type community, you know, like, but without maybe some of that toxicity on some of the other forums. Anyway, if you don't want to do the Patreon thing, feel free to subscribe to the channel, like the video. If you don't like it, hit the dislike button. Let us know in the comments what you thought. Don't hit that bell, because usually we put out a lot of content in a short period of time, so it'll annoy you. It annoys me. I turn off the notifications for other creators, so I'm giving you good advice, unless you like that shit. I also put out a project on Spotify back in November, so you can check out the link to that in the fucking description of this video. Let me know what you think. And that's enough of the really awkwardly done outro bit this time. I admit this was terrible. Thank you all again. Have a wonderful week.
Bye, guys. Happy 2019.